What's a happening, sidekicks? My name is Arkham Devil, and welcome to Detecting Marvelous Comics' premiere episode, a series where we talk about, critique, and analyze films and series with a basis in comic books. With such a vast library to choose from, nearly a full century's worth, it was hard to know where to start. But we did decide to go with my favorite superhero film of all time, the 2003 film Daredevil. Now, don't think that just because I love this film, I'm going to go any easier on it than any other film. Years of reading comic books and 2 film degrees influenced my opinion more than anything else. To introduce this critique, the Daredevil film was directed by Mark Steven Johnson and stars Ben Affleck, Jennifer Garner, Colin Farrell, and Michael Clark Duncan. It exists in Marvel's Earth 701306, otherwise known as the Daredevil Elektra film series universe. Simple enough, right? Now, without any further ado, because I hate the sound of my own voice, I'll turn this over to my sexy, saucy, and studly partner in crime, Dylan Woodchuck Wood.
Hey, what's up, buddy? What are we working on today? Horror script? Another street racing movie? You want me to do what?
Let's go to the Daredevil film.
Which movie?
The 2003 film Daredevil.
That movie sucked then, and it's not any better now. Let it go. Why not something cool? Something relevant. Like the Suicide Squad. That was dope. Listen to the little snowman in Frozen when I say, let it go. Let it go. That movie sucks big old balls.
Hey, you owe me one.
What?
Don't forget, you owe me one.
This is not what I meant when I said I owe you one. Listen, I don't care what kind of pictures you have, okay? I'm not doing it.
Hey, we're doing this.
Fine. But now, you owe me a lot more than one.
Alright, kid.
Alright, you heard the big dummy. Let's get this over with.
Compared to comics.
Starting out with this critique, one way of approaching it is comparing and contrasting some major scenes from the movie with the comics it was based off of. Right off the bat, the movie indirectly quotes the start of the 70s and 80s comics by saying, though attorney Matt Murdock is blind, his other senses function with superhuman sharpness. His radar sense guided him over every obstacle. He stalks by night, a red-garbed foe of evil.
I had lost my sight, but I got something back in return. My remaining 4 senses functioned with superhuman sharpness. But most amazing of all, my sense of sound gave off a kind of radar sense.
This direct reference to the comics fairly early in the movie raises hope that the rest of the movie is pulling for more source material and increasing its comic-to-movie accuracy. While reading through the source material, the first major event from the comics that got translated to the movie is the scene with Ben Urich looking into the connection between Daredevil and Matt Murdock.
It's the reporter from the Post. You have no idea.
Though the scene wasn't as drawn out, and leads more towards implying what Ben is finding and eventually finds the connection, it still ties in a major arc and key aspect of the comics. Especially as Ben is seen typing up the story naming Matt as Daredevil, warning him beforehand that he created the story, and finally destroying the story which would have revealed Daredevil's secret identity, which, as we all know, is a big part of being a superhero. Unless you're Iron Man. Turns out if you're a billionaire, you can do whatever the hell you want. Isn't that right, Elon Musk? Bill Gates.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Good times. Good guys. We're going golfing later. Yeah. The second scene, or more of, part of the movie that had its hands deep in the comic story is Daredevil's general origin. Some direct pulls were when Matt's father told him as a child to study hard and become a doctor or lawyer.
You can be a doctor or a lawyer. Not like me.
Matt getting bullied as a child.
Come on, Shrimp, hit me. I'll give you a free shot. Yeah, hit him.
And also working out, practicing gymnastics, and punching a speed bag as a kid. The movie even goes as far as to include that Matt gets straight A's in school. Going along with the aspects of young Matt that were almost verbatim from the comic books is with Jack Murdock, his father. Notably, the movie ties in the comic references of him being a washed-up prizefighter, making a crooked deal with an even more crooked man.
And now it's your turn to take a fall.
One area that the movie did veer away from the source materials is how Matt went blind.
What are you...
Blind? Yeah.
The comics show Matt going blind from a freak accident when he was actually trying to do something good, namely from saving a blind man from a truck that was transporting radioactive chemicals that fall out of the back and hit him in the face. Sounds like a fun weekend. However, in the movie, he got it from an accidental swerve of the forklift tearing a canister of radioactive waste on the docks. Sounds like a less fun weekend. Additionally, he was a child when he lost his sight, but near full grown in the comics. Getting back onto what the movies did take from the comics and Jack Murdock, the movie takes a direct references like Jack being forced to take a dive in a fight or face certain death.
I don't work for you no more, Fallon.
And despite knowing that the prior fights were fixed, Jack wins the fight to honor his son, saying, "This one's for you, Matt."
This one was for you, Matty.
A little bit reminiscent of the Adrian scene, but the implications get creepy if you think about it too far, so let's move on. Again, the movie decided to stray when it had Jack die in a different way. In the comics, he is shot in the back walking down the street, as opposed to being beaten to death at the hands of the Kingpin in the movie. Moving to the next scene, and probably one of the biggest focal points of the overall plot of both the movies and comics, which is the relationship between Matt and Elektra. You would think that the movie would try to keep to the source material as much as possible. However, pretty quickly, the movie had Matt and Elektra meet in a coffee shop rather than on the steps of the library of Columbia University. Although that is just one small aspect, it did redeem itself by sticking to the fact that Elektra's father was a Greek ambassador.
It's Greek. Genius.
That Elektra learned martial arts to keep her protected, as they did in the comics.
My bodyguard is here.
Your bodyguard? If you need a bodyguard, I'm in serious trouble.
That Matt starts his relationship with Elektra by showing off his acrobatics, followed by explaining to her how he's not so helpless.
I don't know. Growing up in the kitchen, I'm a blind kid. You know how to look out for yourself.
And finally, how Elektra's father is killed in front of her.
Bullseye.
Which causes her to go into a resentment-fueled depression.
I want revenge.
Despite changing small aspects of Matt and Elektra's relationship, it did attempt to stick to the general plot from the comics here and there. Now, onto a more exciting story arc, Bullseye, which is what they didn't call me when I was playing basketball. Yeah. The first reference from the comics that the movie changed was how Bullseye started on the Kingpin's payroll, while in the comics he was originally hired to kill Kingpin.
You know, you've exceeded all my expectations.
Yeah, that's a fun little tidbit you probably didn't know. Oh, you did? Why are you a Daredevil nerd? Do you know Batman exists? He's like way cooler? No? Okay, let's continue. From there, the next scene in the comics was referenced as the last scene of the movie where Bullseye seamlessly killed the fly with a syringe in the hospital in the movie, paying homage to him killing a fly with a paperclip in the comics, which was pretty neat to see translated between mediums. As mentioned, Bullseye was changed to working for Kingpin right from the beginning. However, the comics didn't have him working for him until he began to retake over the criminal underground and was recruited with a guarantee of premium future employment. From here, it leads to the comic and movie scene where Bullseye tells Kingpin that he would kill Daredevil for free.
I told him I'd do you for free.
But, like the Joker in The Dark Knight,
if you're good at something, never do it for free.
The final scene with Bullseye that the movie pulled a lot from the comics is the fight between Bullseye and Daredevil, specifically when Daredevil blocked an array of shuriken thrown at him by allowing them to stick into his baton and then retaliating by throwing the baton back at Bullseye, as well as when they both choke each other in a literal attempt to kill one another. The final major sequence in both the movie and comic that attempted to be faithful to the source material is the final arc where Bullseye fights Daredevil and kills Elektra. Spoiler alert, sorry not sorry, the movie's like 2 decades old. If you haven't seen it already, one, you're not missing much, let's be honest here. The Daredevil freaking TV show is way better. But 2, why are you watching a review about it? Like, what is wrong with you? Are you one of those weird guys that just like seeing people review stuff? You don't just like to enjoy something? Okay, yeah, you're one of those weird guys. All right, well, Like, comment, subscribe. Really helps build the channel. Okay, we appreciate you, freaking weirdo. Alright, where am I? Despite how close it tried to keep to the comics, both created different motivations for Bullseye wanting to kill Elektra. In the comics, the Punisher informs Bullseye that Elektra took his place as Kingpin's assassin, which infuriates Bullseye and makes him want to kill her to take his place back. Whereas in the film, Bullseye was hired to kill Nicholas Nachios and his whole family, including Elektra.
He hired me to kill Nachos. And to gut your pretty girlfriend, too.
From there, the comic scenes start to play out almost one-to-one, like where Bullseye stabs Elektra with her own sai. Right down to the dialogue of,
"You're good, baby. I'll give you that. But me? I'm magic. Now for my next trick."
The main difference between the two is that Daredevil was not there when she was stabbed. However, Elektra did die in the arms of Daredevil. She just had to crawl to his doorstep after being stabbed. Another turning point from comics to movie is the way Kingpin finds out that Matt Murdock is Daredevil. In the comics, Bullseye deduces it on his own and informs Kingpin, whereas in the movie, in the midst of his fight with the injured Daredevil, Kingpin pulls off his cowl to discover his true identity.
The blind lawyer from Hell's Kitchen.
Additionally, Daredevil dropping Bullseye to his presumed death is different in the comics than in the movie.
Don't you people ever die!
In the comics, Bullseye and Daredevil are hanging from a wire. Bullseye slips and Daredevil catches him only to inform him that he'll kill no one ever again and drops him. Whereas in the movie, Daredevil pushes the injured and vulnerable Bullseye out of a church window.
Show mercy.
Despite going back and forth from the source material, another final similarity between the comics and the movie is how Bullseye's fall put him on a full body cast, unable to move. Well, except to kill that fly. I've been there. I'll do whatever it takes.
You fly bitch!
And so we believe the compared to comics section deserves 6 out of 10. Much like my mother grades me on a year-to-year basis. Typically I'm 5 out of 10. This year I got 6. I might get into that wheel after all.
Whoa. Easy, Chatterbox. Look at that runtime. You've been talking for so long. We're definitely going to have to split this into a couple of videos. You know what? This guy over here, am I right? But stay tuned next time for episode 2 of this critique. It will be coming soon. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. And thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, stay creative and stay beautiful. Night, y'all. Midnight Robin Productions.